Okay, folks, so I was holding off on this video until each class's Marvel had been revealed because that's the way it at least appeared to be headed. But I guess that's not in the cards. No? Okay, anyways, today we're covering my lukewarm takes on the Marvels as well as some of the other cards spoiled thus far in the upcoming set, Dynasty. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey folks, and welcome to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. Thanks for tuning in for today's spoiler discussion. Now, the first rule of Spoiler Club is as soon as you shoot a spoiler video, a new one drops, like 5 minutes after you get done shooting usually, right? So I suppose you can all thank me for the spoiler that's likely about to, or just did, drop. So before we get into this, a few words from today's sponsor, me. So here's the deal. I'm headed down to Denver this weekend for the Battle Hardened, and then I'll be in San Jose for Worlds Weekend. So first off, come meet me. I'd love to meet you. Second, during skirmish season and the last Battle Hardened meta, I ended up with extra Cold Foil Odoms, these guys here. But I never ended up getting a Lexi, nor was I able to trade for one, and I also struck out on Fi this last skirmish season. So I'd love to do a one-to-one swap for either of those for anyone interested. I haven't been successful in negotiating a trade locally, so I figured I'd just toss it out there. So if you're looking for a Cold Foil Oldhim and have either a Cold Foil Young Lexi or a Cold Foil Young Fi, let me know. We can meet up, do the swap, high five, and all that good stuff. All right, so on to the spoilers. Now, general spoiler season is less than a week away. Remember, mine is coming on November 2nd, which is pretty freaking exciting. So there's a ton that's going to be happening in the next few weeks, put it lightly, which is really pretty great. But without further ado, let's start running through the spoilers. So I'm going to run through the Marvels first. And then we're going to go through the other ones, I believe, in alphabetical order, because that's how the file system works on a computer. And I'm looking off a gallery. So first up is from the tallest Timmy in all the lands, mate. Man, that beautiful guy. Hope I can meet up with him at Worlds. That's like a huge goal. I'd love to see you there, man. But the Merciless Battle Axe. All right, so once per turn action, 3 attack. That's a warrior weapon. So the warrior Marvel, Majestic. Whenever Merciless Battle Axe attacks, if its attack is greater than twice its base, the attack gains Overpower. So Overpower is the first one, or the first time we'd seen this. We've seen a couple of weapons since. Cannot be defended by more than one action card. That's pretty neat. Pretty neat. It's not quite Dominate. If you had like a full-handed D-Reacts or something like that, you could handle it there. But this card, so I want to give a shout out to Oates, right? I freaking love you, man, because whenever we're talking about stuff, he's always so positive and so excited about all this new stuff. He's like, oh man, all you need is this like cool 5-card hand combo and this card becomes insane. And I mean, again, I love the positivity, right? Because I am not positive on this card. I think it's bad. Maybe not bad, but it's not good, right? So you'd have to, right? Most warrior red pumps are a 1 for 3, right? Most of them are. Whether it be a plow through, whether it be a front pump, or whether it be a react. And sure, there's reacts as 0 for 3, but you get my point, right? Because if it doesn't, you don't want to necessarily be using Reprise into this because it doesn't turn on the Overpower, right? Right? Because this doesn't stop D-reacts, so this isn't really, you don't really want to use your reacts on this. Like, you'll use reacts to do damage, but that's not how you want, you want it pumped going into this, right? So you would need, by all indications, either some other card effect or more than one pump, right? And for 3, like, aren't there just better ways? Like, if you have that many cards in your hand, aren't there just better ways to use it? I think probably so. So. That's, yeah, exactly. So. But anyway, that's where my head is on this one. I'm not impressed, so fair enough. All right, next off, so the Hanibi Blaster, make sure I get this. Oh yeah, this was Flakes, and this also came with the explosives, right? So this card is not lukewarm. This card's hot. So once per turn action, so Mechanologist gun, it's a gun. Note the pistol's not a gun, it's a pistol. So 5 attack, pretty good. Once per turn, remove 2 steams from it and attack, overpower, and then the third time you play a card to boost each turn, put a steam counter on this. So do note, right, that the basic strategy here is that, not the basic strategy, a strategy item here is this can accumulate more than 2 steams. It doesn't cap. You can save them up. It can just keeps, and then you actually have an in-game, right? It still has overpower for 5. You don't have to do tricks into it. It just straight up has overpower for 5. This, I think this replaces Talishar. I'm pretty sure it does, right? In the dash boosty boost is what I'm saying. And I mean, it doesn't replace like the control pistol or anything like that. Not what I'm saying. But this card's very good, right? There are still certain cases in which you might want to run the shotgun. No question there. But this card's very, very good. Huge. And then you combine it with, obviously, the powder keg, and it can do things. You know, powder keg's interesting because, like, maybe you start with it. I don't think you do. I still think you need your tricks because you're going to be making tricks because you can't directly put steam counter that we know of. Maybe you can. Maybe it's one of those like red, yellow, blue cycles to make steam counters or something, could be. But as of right now, there's no way to just like come up with steam counters. So you got to basically do boosty boost to do this. But I don't know why you'd play this if you weren't boosty boosting. All right, next up is the Amethyst Tiara. So this one was spoiled by La Dorinthea, which is the French cast. They do great things over there. I'm not going to pretend that I can even speak or pretend to say French. So sorry for butchering that, but you guys get it. So this is the Runeblade one. This is an equipment head. And instant, destroy it. Rune chance you control have Spell Void 1 this turn. Blade Break. And it, Blade Breaks for 1. This is kind of funny, right? Like you have to I have visions of like Viserai wearing this tiara. That's kind of funny, right? That's kind of funny. But this is neat. It's probably not worth playing over Crown of Providence, I wouldn't think, because Runeblades kind of need a little bit of hand fixing. I think so. It's neat though, right? It's really neat design. I don't know, but again, I don't know that you play it over Crown of Providence. And since it's an M, like it's not like it's a common, right? So it doesn't factor in because you're always playing them in the situations where they can match. But again, being more affordable, right? It will be, because remember, just because this is the Marvel, there's a normal Marvel or Majestic version of it. So it's more affordable. So for sure, cool. And it gives you the 1 defense, which is probably what you're using it for in most cases. But yeah. All right, this one is hot. So the Sand Scour Greatbow, this was this was spoiled by Az from Go Again Gaming. No sprays there. He's a Azalea cult leader, if you will. This one's pretty cool, right? So there's a lot of discussion around this on whether it's super good or not. So let's have it. So once per turn action, as you would with a bow, for 1, look at the top card of your deck. You may put an arrow from your hand or the top of your deck face up into your arsenal. Go again. Whenever an arrow is put face up in arsenal from your deck, put an aim counter on it. Now, again, as of time of shooting, we don't know what an aim counter is, so it is hard to evaluate this in a complete void. That's spoilers, kids, right? That's the way they work. But this compared to Death Dealer, you effectively lose the card advantage, right? I mean, that's really the difference. The difference being that you don't necessarily need an arrow in your hand to start with, right? Because that's one of the problems. So Death Dealer requires you to load the weapon or to load an arrow in order to get your draw. So this one's inventive. It gives you a little hand fixing because sometimes you do have those ranger turns, right? Especially with Azalea, because we're playing a bunch of pumps or fixes or something, like playing a bunch of fixes or ops or pumps or ops, whatever. And sometimes you do just dead draw and you don't get one. Well, this kind of fixes that problem. And then again, it could be, so I don't think it's better than Death Dealer. And the reason I'm specifically talking Death Dealer is I think Lexi still plays Voltaire. I don't see how Lexi doesn't still play Voltaire, right? So basically, I think comparing it to Death Dealer is fair. And I think Death Dealer's better. That said, an aim counter could be really, my guess is that an aim counter is something to do with, it's probably going to give you attack. Probably, just guessing, we don't know. But that'll be either way, I still think this bow's cool. This bow's very cool. And then see, again, more combos, right? More combos, or more options. More options. All right, next, so this is from Team Covenant, and they also had another spoiler. So Seasoned Savior, you see both versions across the screen right now, which is pretty cool. So it is a Guardian Equipment offhand, Guardian Shield. So when you equip it, put 2 -1 counters on it and Battle Worn. So it effectively has 1, but you can do things, right? I think that's cool. I think it's great design. It's an M, so it's replacing your Rampart. Better than old. I mean, even as it is, it's better than Buckler, or it's equivalent, I guess, to Buckler. I mean, it's Battle Worn though, so it doesn't. It's not Blade Break, so actually it is. It's better than Buckler, right? Because it stays there, and then you can manipulate it. So very, very cool. And as we saw from their spoiler, which we'll get to at the end of the once we get through the Marvel sequence, it makes sense. All right, next is Rock. I think this is probably the one with the biggest discussion around it. I really love this card. This card, there's no better card that embodies Brute, right? Like, this card is just it's so perfect for Brute players, because people who are attracted to being Brute players love doing these like weird, like it'll only work 1/3 of the time, massive, like I'll OTK you 1/3 of the time and then lose my other matches, and then they can leave there happy because they did it. And I think that's perfect, right? So like in a lot of games, they're probably not gonna be able to use Rock. They're probably not gonna be able to swing it consistently. At least they've got to do a setup for it. It's perfect. It's just perfect, right? So once per turn action, 3 attack. Well, it attacks for 7. And its weapon type, by the way, it's a rock. Or no, it's a rock. So activate it only if you have no cards in hand, which means that, right, so just to clarify to everyone out there, right, you have to activate it before you pay for it, right? So you can only activate it if you have no cards in hand, which means it's not like you pitch 3 to it and then you activate it. You activate it first, then you pitch to feed it. So you got to have stuff on the table, right? So there's multiple ways to do that, right? Potions, or you can have floating, but remember, you can't float 3, at least so far. Potentially you could in other ways. But again, you have to do some crazy setup for this. You have to plan into it. Can intimidate into it maybe, using your barragings. Phenomenal card. It's just is it a great card? No. But is it a phenomenal card? Yes, it is. Right. I love it. All right. Next is Blazon Uri. I think Blazon Uri. But it's the Ninja Chest. And this one's funny because it's like the ninjas get the anti-ninja tech, right? So while it is defending on Chain Link or 4, it has +4, meaning it defends for 5. So that'll negate straight up a non-modified Lava Burst, which is pretty cool. Blade Break. Cool. So I think Phi still plays the Furnace. The other ninjas could play this go into Phi. Why not? Why the hell not? This looks really beautiful, but I think this one's going to look really beautiful in person. There's some of the other ones that look good, but like this one I think is going to look really good being like a cold foil. I mean, you can see it in the photo. Like, it looks really good. So, awesome. All right, so now this is not a Marvel. This is a Majestic, though. This is a Wizard weapon. So notice we did not see a Majestic for Wizard or Illusionist, but this is a Marvel weapon. So there's a lot going on here with this particular card, right? So let's just read it. So Surgent Ethertide, once per turn action for 2, deal 1 Arcane to an opposing hero, go again. Well, that seems freaking awful, right? Seems really bad. The first card you play each turn with an arcane damage effect instead deals that much arcane damage plus X, where X is the damage dealt by Surgent Aethertide this turn. So, release notes pending and all that, right? This is not written great. We'll have to see based on the release notes exactly how it works and if it was written great or not. But how I believe this works, and I've talked with others who agree, doesn't mean we're right? But how we believe this works is if you hit on this, it sets X. And that X right? So it's not if you hit them this turn, it's not if you hit them for 1 this turn, everything gets pumped by 1 this turn only. If you hit them with this, it stays. It's basically like put a counter on this for each arcane. In fact, that might have been a better way to say it if it works this way. Put a counter on this for each arcane dealt.
and your stuff, the first card gets boosted by the number of counters on this, is essentially the way. But you, when you activate it again, you remove the counters effectively, right? So it's not that it stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. I don't believe. It would be that this gets set once, and then when you activate it again, it would reset that, right? So let's just say I pay 2, you take 1. My first card each turn would get boosted by 1 until I activated this again, in which case you would have to take 1 again. That is how I think this works. If it could stack, that potentially cray, as the kids, are the kids even saying that days? I don't know, probably not. Because I know about it, so I'm sure they're not. But so that's the way where it's, again, let me know in the comments if you disagree. It's kind of a complicated one, so the release notes hopefully will make that much more clear. But either way, moving on. All right, and coming out of that November, I believe November Armory kit, we saw, man, that gorgeous playmat, by the way, which we'll see the art for that in a bit, but we saw Predatory Streak and the Quicksilver Dagger, the new Warrior Dagger. So Predatory Streak, create 3 Crouching Tigers in your Banish Zone. You may play them this turn. So it's ninja action, 0 drop. You have to assume this is it's a common. Well, actually, we don't know that. But this looks like it'll probably be a common. Maybe not. Either way, it looks like it'll be a sequence. So the red, yellow, blue would be presumably 3, 2, 1, Crouching Tigers, Rhinar. Now, we don't know what those do. It smells like something like a Phoenix Flame, although it'll probably be like non-attack would be my guess, maybe. But then that breaks your chain, but then, yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. But once we get Crouching Tigers, we can actually put this in context. But it seems cool. All right, next is the Quicksilver Dagger. So this will be the cold foil in that once per turn action for 1 attack. I know it's hard to see, but this is the best picture I could find. Sorry. So if another weapon you control has gained go again this turn, Quicksilver Dagger has go again. So there's some pretty cool tricks you can do with this. That said, I think this is garbage. So this is actually, in my opinion, this is actually so obviously garbage that it must not be. Like, there must be something else going on here. I don't know if this is like the Emperor's Weapon, where like you can dagger, and then blaze headlong, or like, you know, Warrior's Valor, dagger into a blaze headlong or something like that. Well, I guess you can't do that with red pitch, but yeah, I'm struggling with this one on, like, I don't know why you would play this over Cintauri Saber. Like, I know it gets natural go again, but it's a dagger, so like Kassai doesn't get it for free. And like Dory, sure, you can do like Dory daggers, but again, like, so what? Like, it's swinging for 1, like paying 1 to do 1. So there's got to be something else here, right? Like, there's got to be more. So I'm not even prepared to say like this card sucks, because it seemed like, it just smells like there's got to be something else, because this is just so bad, right? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree or what you see, because it just seems so bad. So I don't know. But I mean, sure. But to my point, maybe there is, not to my point, but to what I was saying on the Emperor, like maybe we do see a Draconic Warrior and they can blaze headlong, and then you could do what I said, right? Something like that. Then I think there's to the second attack having go again, right? If there's some way for you to follow up with the second attack, then great. And that's where Dory would come in, but like, it's still once per turn. So you know what I mean? You'd still only get you'd still only get 3 swings, and then like 3 swings for 1 for $1. I don't know. Whatever. You guys, hopefully you guys get it. All right. Reinforced Steel. So this was the Team Covenant promo as well. So for 2, remove, and this one is a common, so you would imagine that maybe so again, we've seen it doesn't have to necessarily be part of a cycle as a common, to be fair, but for 2, remove a -1 counter from a Guardian offhand you control with 3 or less base. Maybe it's 3 or less, 2 or less, 1 or less base. It could be, right? But it has specifically offhand. So interesting. The value there doesn't seem, so this is not a go again, by the way. So the value there seems not great, because it's a 2-card hand to not do anything and just replenish 1 defense. So seems not great to me, but maybe, again, hey, it's spoiler season. Like, could be something coming down the pipe, but it just seems not good value. All right, Sap. So this was Team Covenant as well, I think, right? Like their promo. So it is 0 cost. Deal 3 arcane to target hero. Not too shabby for the red. Again, this is a common, so you assume, actually, we have seen the sequence. I'll put it up. We have seen the red, yellow, blue sequence, so it's 3, 2, 1. And then Surge, if this deals more than 3 to a hero, you may remove an energy counter from a permanent they control. That's cool. We have seen energy counters, right? Tunic has energy counters. Presumably, that's going to be on more things. Maybe. Even if not, sure, design proof in the future. But for this to deal more than 3, it has to be pumped, and they have to not block it. So, sure, why not? Seems legit. It's fine. Right, Skyfire, so we'll do these together, Skyfire Lanterns and then Water Glow Lanterns. So we've seen one for Runeblade, one for Illusionist. There is a cycle for all of these, right? So Skyfire Lanterns is reveal the top card of your deck if it's red, yellow, or blue. Create a Runechant token for the red, yellow, and blue. Go again. That's good, right, for Runeblades. And then Water Glow Lanterns reveal the top card of your deck if it's red, yellow, or blue. Create a Spectral Shield token for the red, yellow, or blue. Right. So there's a sequence of all these. Now, we had a conversation in the Dice Commando Discord, which was kind of cool. It's like, hey, I wonder if there's going to be a cycle for each one of these. And I said, I hope not. Because, and by a cycle, they mean like, will each class get something like this? So then we had a debate about, what tokens would they all poop out and stuff like that. Right. For mech, you could do something. It's like put a steam counter on something you control. Ninja could be Crouching Tigers or whatever, right? Like you could conceivably come up, but the reason I hope that we don't have this for each class is because like that's 30 cards, right? Because it's a full cycle for each class. That's 30 cards out of the set. I really don't want 30 cards out of the set to be what seems overall to be not super, right? Because like Skyfire Lanterns is okay in that it's a and it is a common, by the way, so keep that in mind for commoners, so fair enough. But like, go again. So it works for Viscera. I mean, sure, it turns on Rosetta. It works for Viscera to trigger Runechant on the next one, and maybe you get a Runechant. It just seems like there's better cards out there for pretty much, at least based on the 2 we've seen. And quite frankly, they would all, I mean, if we're going into the assumption that there's a cycle here, it would follow that they're all still not good by the same reason of like, you still have to show. So unless you're playing an all red deck or an all blue deck, or I suppose all yellow deck in Prism's case, fair enough. But still, it just, But then the art, by the way, on Water Glow is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome there. So yeah. So like, again, I'll just wrap it up, put a pin in those. Like, I really hope that there's not a full sequence for all of them, because there might be, but that's a large chunk of the set, right? Large chunk of the set. So anyway, that is all that I have. Hopefully I didn't miss any, because the one will come out too. But either way, thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, right? I'm sure there's a lot of these lukewarm takes are probably not completely right. I know there's going to be a lot of argument around the Wizard one. I think that's how it works, but again, we'll wait till the release note comes out. It for certain doesn't stack, right? We know that. Well, we don't know that, but like it almost 99.99999 does not stack, right? But I do think it's a perpetual effect. It's not a stacking perpetual effect, right? So that's my take on that one. But let me know if you agree, if you disagree, if you don't like it, if you do like it, whatever. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks. Really appreciate it. I'm looking so much forward to meeting people in person in Denver, and then especially at Worlds. And if nothing else, folks, I'll do it in my Told Timmy voice. Go Commando. Oh, that was freaking awful. Sorry, Timmy. Love you, man.